Want to know why? Ask how. Howard the Humongous. Ladies and gentlemen, you are being conned. You are being conned by the left, and you are being conned by the right. Let's go to the con from the right. The right is telling you that it wants to slash government expenditures because we have a debt that is going to kill America. And why does it say this debt is going to kill America? Because, and why does it say it wants to kill the debt? Because we are loading burdens, vast burdens of debt upon every new boy and girl child born into America today. That is the claim of the right. But in fact, the right is sponsoring a system that is loading gargantuan amounts of real debt on the boys and girls who turn 18, 19, 20, and 21 years old in the United States of America today, and it is burdening them down terribly. That debt is the $1 trillion of student loans, $27,000 on average per student. And new results show that students burdened with large amounts of debt are far less likely to be creative, entrepreneurial, and to start businesses of their own. Why are we being burdened with this savage debt? Once upon a time, to send your kid to school, you had to spend money. You had to pay money for grammar school. You had to pay money for what we now call high school. And of course, you had to pay money for university. That was the 19th century. The proposition was brought up that perhaps school should be free. Elementary school should be free. High school should be free. It was so outrageous that Herbert Spencer, who was the leading philosopher of the age, otherwise a brilliant man, a man who, for me, is a guiding light, got it dead wrong. He said that the very notion of free education was a disaster in the making. He was wrong. Free education at the grammar school level and the high school level is one of those things that allowed America to be the dominant nation of the 20th century. And if we are lucky, it will continue to allow America to be the dominant century in the 21st. But we have a problem with higher education. In the 1920s, 30s, and 40s, the university education in New York City was free. Did that destroy New York City? No, far from it. It made New York City one of the leading cities in the world. It is time that education be free at the university, college level, the college and university level, for every student in America who is willing to work hard enough to make that education worthwhile. Not for slackers, not for loafers, for those who are willing to use their intelligence to the nth degree. Where the money will come from, I don't know, but we didn't know where the money was going to come from for free elementary school or high school either. This is simply as much a necessity as our military is. Now for the problems from the left. In roughly 1989 to 1991, the left seemed to lose the centrality of its voice. It became a centralist party. The progressive left, the real left-wing left, seemed to lose its compass. Now the progressive left is, in some cases, regaining its compass again, specifically with regard to the Ukraine. The left is telling us that $6 billion has been spent on, quote, pro-democracy projects under people like Victoria Tennant in order to subvert the states of Central Europe, like the Ukraine, and bring them over from the Russian sphere of influence to the European and American sphere of influence, to what we call democracy. And this, it is said, is an insidious process. And yes, there are major flaws to the fact that we have encroached on Russia's traditional territory. But the fact is that the left gaining its voice in this matter is not simply a matter of suddenly waking up after 20 years of a deep sleep. It's a matter of something else. Russian money is doing something that Russian money has traditionally been able to do on the left. It is buying influence. It is once again giving a central focus to the very far left of America's left and the not so very far left of America's left. A major PR firm has been employed by the Russians and is feeding op-eds to the Huffington Post. Many of the figures you hear quoted on these matters are funded by organizations that were set up in part by Russia, and especially with Russian funds. In other words, you are being conned from the right, which has learned the lesson of Goebbels, of Hitler's PR master. The bigger the lie, the more easily it is believed. If you hear something from the far right, question it severely. And when you hear something from the far left, look into it. There's a certain element of validity to nearly everything you hear, but it's up to you with your critical thinking and by reading multiple sources from many directions to determine where the truth is. Because, ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to the left and when it comes to the right, you are being lied to. This is Howard the Among Us speaking to you from the future, that it's your job and my job to make, or, want to know why? Ask how. Now, for the off button, can I do this by touch alone? We shall see. Yes.